Words have power beyond what most people realize. The way you speak to yourself and others shapes your thoughts, your actions, and the results you get in life. Every sentence you form, whether out loud or inside your mind, sends a signal to reality about what you expect, what you allow, and what you create. If you want to improve your focus, your confidence, your relationships, and the results you see every day, this audiobook will show how to take control of your inner voice, how to speak in ways that guide your actions instead of letting distractions or emotions take over, and how to align your words with your values so your daily routines support the life you want. You'll discover practical steps to turn self-talk into a tool, not a habit that holds you back, and how to make decisions, set goals, and manage your emotions through the simple act of speaking clearly and honestly. By the time you finish listening, you will understand how to train your mind, your attention, and even your feelings through disciplined language. You'll see why small changes in what you say can produce massive shifts in your results. This is not about motivational phrases or temporary tricks. This is about building real skills that help you stay consistent, focused, and resilient every single day. If you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure why life seems to pull you in different directions, this audiobook will give you a clear method to take control. It will teach you to speak with intention, create habits that reflect your values, and design your life so that every choice and action is purposeful. By the end, you will not just think differently, you will act differently, and reality itself will begin to shift in response to the words you speak. Chapter 1. Learn the power of words shaping daily reality. From the moment you wake up each morning, words are already shaping your day before you realize it. The first sentence that passes through your mind quietly sets the direction of your energy, your focus, and your behavior. Many people believe reality is something that simply happens to them. But in truth, reality responds first to the way it is named. This chapter begins with a simple understanding that words are not decoration. Words are not entertainment. Words are not harmless. Words are commands you give to your own mind. What you speak repeatedly becomes the frame through which you experience life. This is not mysticism, and it is not poetry. It is discipline and awareness. When ancient thinkers spoke of logos, they referred to order, reason, and meaning expressed through language. When you speak, you are not just describing the world. You are instructing your nervous system how to respond to it. Every word carries direction. When you say today will be hard, your body prepares for resistance. Your shoulders tighten. Your breathing shortens. Your patience shrinks. When you say today will be handled, your posture changes, and your mind searches for solutions instead of excuses. The event itself may be identical, but the experience is not. This is where personal power begins, not in controlling circumstances, but in controlling interpretation. Stoic thinkers understood this deeply. They taught that events are neutral, but judgments create suffering or strength. Words are how judgments are formed and reinforced. The language you use is the bridge between the external world and your internal response. Most people speak without discipline. They repeat phrases learned from stress, fear, or habit. They say, "I cannot handle this," before even trying. They say, "I am always tired," and then wonder why energy never arrives. They say, "People are against me," and then behave defensively until conflict appears. None of this is accidental. The mind listens constantly. It does not question the truth of repeated statements. It simply adapts behavior to match them. This is why careless speech leads to careless living. To learn the power of words shaping daily reality, you must first slow down enough to hear what you are saying, not only aloud but internally. Inner speech is often harsher than anything spoken publicly. People would never speak to others the way they speak to themselves. This inner dialogue runs all day, shaping mood, confidence, and decision-making. It is the unseen architect of behavior. If you want change that lasts, you must begin there. Start with observation for one full day. Notice how often your words describe limitation instead of responsibility. Pay attention to phrases like, "I have no time," "I am not good at these things," "never work out for me." These statements feel like facts, but they are interpretations. Each one quietly gives permission to stop trying, Each one reduces effort before action even begins. The Stoic approach is not positive thinking. It is accurate thinking. Accurate thinking removes exaggeration and self-sabotage. Replace vague complaints with clear facts. Instead of saying, "I am overwhelmed," say, "I have 3 tasks and limited time." This immediately moves the mind from emotion to problem solving. Words also affect how long emotions last. Anger, frustration, and fear are natural responses, but language determines whether they pass or stay. When you say, "This ruined my day," you extend the emotion. When you say, "This is unpleasant but temporary," you shorten it. This is not denial. It is command. The mind follows the language you choose. Over time, disciplined language builds emotional endurance. You become less reactive, not because life becomes easier, but because your words stop feeding unnecessary suffering. Daily reality is built through repetition. A single sentence does not change a life, but repeated speech does. Consider how habits are formed. Behavior follows thought. Thought follows language. This is the order. If you want to wake up with discipline, you must speak discipline into the night before. If you want calm, you must stop using urgent language for non-urgent matters. If you want confidence, you must stop speaking doubt as if it is humility. Humility is honesty, not self-dismissal. There is a difference between acknowledging difficulty and declaring defeat. Strong language acknowledges reality without surrendering authority. Weak language gives authority away. For example, saying, "This task is difficult, but doable," keeps control. Saying, "This is impossible," removes it. One word changes ownership. Life responds accordingly. Opportunities are noticed or ignored based on how problems are framed. Words are filters. This understanding brings responsibility. You cannot blame others for a reality you continue to describe in limiting terms. This does not mean blaming yourself for everything. It means reclaiming authorship of your responses. Stoic wisdom teaches focus on what is within your control. Speech is always within your control. Even silence is a form of speech. What you choose to say or not say determines your mental environment. You live inside the language you repeat. To apply this in daily life, begin with mornings. The first 10 minutes after waking are critical. The mind is receptive. Whatever you say during this time sets the tone. Avoid checking messages or news immediately. Instead, speak a simple directive. Today I will act with clarity. Today I will respond, not react. Today I will complete what I begin. These are not affirmations meant to excite. They are instructions meant to orient behavior. Speak them calmly without emotion. Consistency matters more than intensity. Throughout the day, pause before responding to stress. When something goes wrong, resist the urge to label it as a disaster. Use neutral language. Say, "This requires adjustment. This requires patience. This requires effort." Neutral language keeps the nervous system steady. Emotional language escalates stress and clouds judgment. This is why disciplined speech is a form of self-control. You cannot master circumstances, but you can master the language you use to face them. Words also shape identity. Repeated statements become self-definitions. Saying, "I am lazy," eventually produces lazy behavior. Saying, "I am learning," produces effort. Identity is not fixed. It is reinforced daily through language. Choose descriptions that allow growth. Avoid labels that lock behavior in place. Replace static labels with process-oriented language. Instead of saying, "I am bad at discipline," say, "I am practicing discipline." This keeps movement alive. Consider how you speak about time. Saying, "I never have enough time," creates pressure and haste. Saying, "I choose how to use my time," creates agency. The hours remain the same, but the experience changes. Stress is often not caused by lack of time, but by language that frames time as an enemy. Adjust the language and behavior follows. Relationships are also shaped by words long before actions. The way you speak about people determines how you treat them. If you label someone as difficult, every interaction will be defensive. If you say, "This person challenges me," you remain alert but open. This subtle shift prevents unnecessary conflict. Stoic philosophy emphasizes responding according to reason, not impulse. Language is how reason is activated. Another critical area is how you speak about effort. Many avoid effort because they describe it as pain. If effort is always spoken of as suffering, the mind resists it. Instead, describe effort as necessary training. This reframes discomfort as purposeful. Athletes understand this. They do not describe training as punishment. They describe it as preparation. Apply the same language to daily tasks. Work becomes lighter, not because it is easier, but because resistance decreases. Notice also how often exaggeration enters speech. Words like always, never, everyone, no one create rigidity. They close options. Replace them with specific language. Instead of saying this always happens, say this happened today. Specific language keeps reality. Vague language inflates problems. Precision reduces emotional load. The power of words shaping daily reality is not about controlling others. It is about governing yourself. The Stoics taught that freedom comes from inner order. Language is the tool of that order. When speech is disciplined, thought becomes disciplined. When thought is disciplined, action follows naturally. Begin practicing restraint. Not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every feeling needs to be named aloud. Silence is also a choice that shapes reality. Silence prevents regret. Silence allows clarity to form. Speak only what strengthens understanding or directs action. Remove filler language that drains energy. Complaining repeated often becomes identity. Replace it with statements of responsibility. At the end of each day, review your language. This is a powerful habit. Ask what words dominated your speech today. Were they reactive or deliberate? Did they give strength or remove it? This review is not for guilt. It is for awareness. Awareness leads to improvement. Over time, you will notice changes. Situations that once triggered frustration will pass with less resistance. Decisions will feel clearer. Energy will stabilize. Others may respond differently to you because your language signals steadiness. This is not manipulation. It is alignment. Reality responds to clarity. Words also affect physical health. Stress language increases tension. Calm language reduces it. The body listens. Chronic stress often begins with chronic inner speech that frames life as threat. Change the language and the body follows. This is supported by observation and experience. Calm people speak calmly even under pressure. They are not calmer by chance. They have trained their language. There will be resistance at first. Old habits return easily. Do not speak about failure, speak about adjustment. Say, I am learning to speak differently. This keeps momentum. Perfection is not required. Consistency is. As you continue this practice, you will begin to notice that reality does not shift instantly through magic, but through alignment. Your actions align with your words. Your emotions align with your interpretations. Your environment responds to your behavior. The chain begins with language. This is why ancient wisdom placed such emphasis on speech. Not because words create the universe, but because words create the human experience of it. When you speak with clarity, discipline, and responsibility, you experience life with the same qualities. End each night with a simple statement. Today I spoke with awareness. Tomorrow I will continue. This reinforces the habit. Small practices repeated daily build strong character. Strong character creates stable outcomes. Learning the power of words shaping daily reality is the foundation for everything that follows. Without this awareness, other efforts collapse. With it, progress becomes steady. You stop waiting for motivation and begin directing yourself. This is the beginning of mastery. Chapter 2. Speak with intention to direct thoughts, actions, outcomes. Intention is what separates noise from direction. Most people speak constantly, yet say very little that actually guides their lives. Words come out of habit, emotion, or imitation without purpose behind them. When speech lacks intention, it scatters the mind. Thoughts pull in different directions. Actions become inconsistent and outcomes feel random. Speaking with intention is the discipline of deciding in advance what your words are meant to produce inside you. It is the practice of using language as a steering wheel rather than a reaction. Intention begins before sound. It starts with a pause. That pause is where power lives. In that brief moment you choose whether your words will strengthen clarity or increase confusion. People who feel stuck often believe they need better plans or more motivation. In reality, they need cleaner language. Direction does not come from intensity. It comes from precision. Intentional speech is precise speech. When you speak without intention, your mind receives mixed instructions. Saying "I want change" while constantly speaking about comfort tells the mind to protect the familiar. Saying "I want discipline" while speaking about exhaustion tells the mind to conserve energy. The mind follows the strongest repeated signal. Intention aligns those signals. When words match desired outcomes, the mind organizes effort automatically. Begin by understanding that every sentence you speak has a destination. It either points toward growth or away from it. There is no neutral language. Even casual remarks train the brain. Saying "it does not matter" trains apathy. Saying "I will deal with it later" trains avoidance. Saying "I will handle this now" trains decisiveness. Over time, these small instructions shape behavior patterns. Intentional speech requires responsibility. You must own the effect of your words on your thoughts. This is uncomfortable at first, because it removes excuses. You can no longer blame mood or circumstance when you choose your language deliberately. This is why many avoid it. Freedom demands effort. One of the most practical ways to speak with intention is to decide the outcome before speaking. Ask silently what this sentence is meant to do. Is it meant to calm, focus, commit, or correct? If it does none of these, consider silence. Silence is often more intentional than uncontrolled speech. Silence keeps the mind from absorbing unnecessary signals. Consider how intention directs thought. When you say "this task matters," the mind allocates attention. When you say "this is pointless," attention fades. The words themselves do not change the task, but they change cognitive priority. Attention follows language. What you speak becomes what you think about repeatedly. This is why intentional speech is the first step to mental focus. Now consider action. Action follows internal dialogue. If your words suggest delay, action delays. If your words suggest readiness, action begins. People often wait to feel ready before acting. Readiness rarely arrives on its own. It is spoken into existence through intentional language. Saying "I begin now" triggers movement. Saying "I will think about it later" stalls momentum. Outcomes are the final result of repeated actions, guided by repeated thoughts, shaped by repeated words. This chain is simple and unavoidable. If outcomes are inconsistent, look upstream. Listen to your speech. Inconsistent language produces inconsistent results. To practice intentional speech, start with commitments. Do not overpromise. Do not speak vaguely. Replace "I should" with "I will" or "I choose not to." This restores honesty. Vague language allows escape routes. Clear language creates accountability. When you say "I will do this at this time," the mind prepares resources. When you say "maybe later," the mind remains idle. Intentional speech also requires removing unnecessary emotional charge. Emotional exaggeration distorts direction. Saying "this is unbearable" invites avoidance. Saying "this is uncomfortable but necessary" invites endurance. The difference is not optimism, it is control. Emotional language hijacks intention. Neutral language preserves it. Another key area is how you speak during decision-making. Many decisions fail, not because options are poor, but because language is unclear. Saying "I am confused" keeps confusion active. Saying "I need more information" focuses effort. Naming the next step directs action. Intentional speech breaks paralysis. Practice speaking outcomes before starting tasks. Before work, say "I complete this fully." Before exercise, say "I finish the session." Before conversation, say "I listen carefully." These statements are not motivational. They are orienting. They tell the mind what success looks like. The mind works better with clear targets. Intentional speech also affects how you recover from mistakes. Unintentional speech turns errors into identity. Saying "I always fail" links behavior to self-image. Intentional speech separates them. Saying "this attempt failed, but I continue" preserves direction. This prevents discouragement from turning into withdrawal. This discipline extends to how you speak about the future. Many speak about the future as if it is threatening or uncertain. While uncertainty exists, language determines response. Saying, "I will adapt," trains flexibility. Saying, "I hope it works," trains passivity. Hope without intention is waiting. Intention without certainty is strength. Notice how intentional speech simplifies life. You waste less energy explaining, defending, or justifying. Your words become fewer but stronger. This is aligned with Stoic restraint. Speak only what is necessary and useful. Remove language that adds weight without purpose. To deepen this practice, set daily verbal rules. For example, do not speak about tasks you are not willing to act on. Do not describe yourself using fixed negative traits. Do not dramatize obstacles. These rules protect mental clarity. They prevent words from undermining effort. Intentional speech also improves relationships. When you speak clearly, others understand expectations. Conflict often arises from vague or emotionally loaded language. Saying, "I need this done today," is clearer than expressing frustration indirectly. Clear language reduces resentment. Another powerful practice is to end sentences with action. Instead of saying, "This is stressful," add, "I will take one step now." This trains resolution. The sentence itself becomes a bridge from thought to behavior. There will be moments when emotion surges and intentional speech feels difficult. This is when it matters most. Do not attempt eloquence. Choose simple, controlled words. Say, "Pause, breathe, proceed." These commands stabilize the system. Over time, the habit strengthens. Intentional speech does not suppress emotion. It channels it. Anger can fuel correction when named properly. Fear can fuel preparation when named honestly. The problem is not emotion. It is uncontrolled language attached to it. At the end of each day, reflect on whether your words moved you closer to intended outcomes. Did they sharpen focus or scatter it? Did they support action or excuse delay? This reflection builds awareness. Awareness builds mastery. Speaking with intention is not about sounding powerful to others. It is about being clear with yourself. When language aligns with values, effort becomes consistent. You stop negotiating with yourself endlessly. Decisions simplify. Energy stabilizes. Over time, you will notice that outcomes begin to feel earned rather than accidental. This builds confidence grounded in discipline, not hope. You trust yourself because your words lead to action. This trust is quiet and steady. The practice is simple but demanding. Every day, choose words that direct rather than drift. Speak less but mean more. Allow intention to guide language and language to guide life. This is how thought becomes action and action becomes outcome through deliberate speech. Chapter 3. Align inner beliefs with spoken words consistently. Alignment is where strength is born. When inner beliefs and spoken words move in opposite directions, effort leaks and confidence collapses. Many people speak ambition while believing limitation. They speak calm while believing chaos. They speak commitment while believing escape is still an option. This inner conflict drains energy more than failure ever could. The mind senses dishonesty immediately. When words do not match belief, the body resists action. You feel tired without work, hesitant without danger, and doubtful without evidence. This chapter is about restoring internal unity, so that speech no longer fights belief, but reinforces it. Beliefs are not abstract ideas stored somewhere in the mind. They are conclusions formed through repetition, experience, and emotional memory. Every time you say something that contradicts what you truly believe, tension appears. The tension is subtle but constant. You may say, "I can do this," while believing, "I usually quit." The words sound strong, but the belief undermines them. The result is inconsistent action. Alignment does not begin by forcing stronger words. It begins by examining weaker beliefs. Honestly, Stoic discipline starts with truth. Not harsh judgment, but clear observation. Ask what you actually believe about effort, success, time, discipline, and self-control. Do not answer with what sounds good. Answer with what guides your behavior when no one is watching. That is where real belief lives. Spoken words must be adjusted to match reality first, before reality can be reshaped. Pretending belief creates resistance. Naming belief creates leverage. If you believe effort is exhausting, do not speak about endless motivation. Speak about short, controlled effort. This matches belief while nudging growth. If you believe discipline is difficult, speak about structure, not willpower. Alignment does not require ideal beliefs. It requires honest ones that can be strengthened gradually. The mistake many make is speaking at a level their belief system cannot yet support. Words are tools, not masks. When used to hide belief, they fail. When used to train belief, they work. Training belief requires consistency. Say only what you are willing to reinforce through action. Empty declarations weaken trust with yourself. Broken promises spoken aloud teach the mind not to listen. Over time, this erodes self-authority. To rebuild authority, words must be believable and repeatable. Begin by narrowing language. Instead of broad claims, speak specific truths. Instead of saying, "I am disciplined," say, "I follow one routine daily." This is easier to believe and easier to act on. Each fulfilled statement strengthens belief. Belief grows through evidence, not hope. Your own actions are the strongest evidence your mind accepts. Notice where you exaggerate positively or negatively. Both create misalignment. Saying "I am unstoppable" when feeling uncertain creates strain. Saying "I am hopeless" when tired creates surrender. Replace extremes with measured language. Say "I continue despite discomfort." This bridges belief and action. The mind accepts it without resistance. Consistency is more important than intensity. Speaking aligned words once does little. Speaking them daily rewires expectation. Expectation guides behavior automatically. When belief and speech align, the body moves without debate. Action becomes quieter and more efficient. This alignment also affects emotional stability. Many emotional swings come from inner contradiction. You say you value patience, but believe impatience is justified. This conflict fuels irritation. Resolve it by adjusting language. Say "I practice patience even when I fail." This allows belief to shift gradually without self-attack. Pay attention to how you speak during setbacks. This reveals belief more clearly than success. If you speak with self-condemnation, belief in worth is weak. If you speak with learning language, belief in growth is active. Adjust words accordingly. Do not shame belief into change. Guide it. Another powerful area is how you speak about past behavior. If you constantly reference past failure, belief remains anchored there. Speak about the present moment as separate. Say today, "I choose differently." This does not deny history. It prevents it from ruling the future. Alignment also requires removing borrowed language. Many beliefs are inherited unconsciously. Phrases picked up from family, culture, or social media may not match your values. Saying "life is unfair" repeatedly installs resignation. If you do not truly believe this, remove it from speech. Speak what you choose to reinforce, not what you inherited. To strengthen alignment, create small verbal contracts with yourself. Speak commitments you know you will keep. When completed, acknowledge them silently or aloud. This reinforces belief in reliability. Reliability is the foundation of self-respect. Self-respect fuels discipline. When belief changes, language must follow quickly. Holding old language after belief has shifted creates friction. Update words as identity evolves. Speak current truth, not outdated self-image. This keeps momentum clean. There will be moments when belief lags behind aspiration. This is normal. In these moments, speak transitional language. Say "I am becoming more focused" rather than "I am focused." This keeps honesty while pointing forward. Transitional language is powerful because it allows growth without denial. Alignment also affects how others respond to you. People sense congruence. When words match, inner state communication feels solid. Trust builds. Leadership emerges naturally. This is not about persuasion. It is about coherence. Daily practice is simple. At the end of the day, ask whether your words reflected what you truly believed. If not, identify one sentence to adjust tomorrow. Small corrections compound. Over weeks, alignment strengthens. Over months, identity stabilizes. Avoid forcing belief through pressure. Belief grows through repeated proof. Let language guide action gently. Let action confirm belief steadily. This loop builds confidence that does not depend on mood. When inner beliefs and spoken words align consistently, energy stops leaking. Decisions become easier. Discipline feels less like resistance and more like expression of who you are. This is not transformation through excitement. It is transformation through integrity. Alignment is quiet power. It does not announce itself. It shows up as follow-through. When you speak and act in harmony, reality responds with stability. This is the foundation for everything that follows. Chapter 4. Build resilience by choosing language during pressure. Pressure reveals habits that comfort hides. When things are calm, language feels easy and controlled. When pressure arrives, words rush out before thought catches up. This is where resilience is either built or broken. Resilience is not toughness displayed after the storm. It is discipline practiced in the moment of strain. The language you choose when pressure tightens determines whether stress sharpens you or weakens you. Under pressure, the mind looks for shortcuts. It seeks relief, not resolution. Words become emotional signals rather than deliberate instructions. Complaints surface quickly. Blame appears naturally. Exaggeration feels justified. This is not a character flaw. It is an untrained response. Training begins by understanding that pressure itself is neutral. It is the language attached to pressure that turns it into panic or strength. Pressure narrows attention. When language becomes dramatic, attention collapses further. Saying this is unbearable signals threat. The nervous system responds with urgency and fear. Clarity disappears. In contrast, measured language preserves mental space. Saying this is demanding but manageable keeps reasoning online. The situation remains difficult, but the response becomes controlled. Resilience lives in this control. Resilient people are not those who feel less pressure. They are those who speak differently inside it. They do not allow words to inflate the moment. They reduce language to what is useful. This is a stoic discipline. Speak only what helps action. Remove words that amplify emotion without improving outcome. Pressure tests identity. Under strain, many revert to old self-descriptions. They say, "I cannot handle this," or "I always break under stress." These statements do not describe reality. They program it. Each repetition reinforces the very weakness feared. Building resilience requires refusing to narrate collapse. This does not mean denying difficulty. It means refusing to define yourself by it. One practical method is to shorten sentences under pressure. Long explanations increase confusion. Simple commands restore order. Words like steady, focus, breathe, act are powerful because they direct behavior immediately. The mind responds well to simplicity when overloaded. Complicated language overwhelms it further. Another method is to remove time distortion. Pressure often comes with language that compresses time. Saying everything is happening at once creates urgency. Replace it with specific sequencing. Say, handle this first, then that next. This restores a sense of control. Resilience is built when the mind believes there is a path forward, even if narrow. Notice how you speak when something goes wrong unexpectedly. Sudden problems often trigger reactive phrases. Train yourself to use neutral entry language. Say noted or adjust. This small habit prevents emotional escalation. Over time, this response becomes automatic. The body learns that surprise does not equal danger. Language during pressure also affects recovery speed. After intense moments, many continue replaying events verbally. This keeps stress active long after the threat passes. Resilient language closes the loop. Say it is done now. This signals completion. The nervous system relaxes. Without this closure, pressure accumulates. Resilience also involves how you speak about effort when tired. Fatigue often invites self-pity language. Saying "I cannot continue" invites stopping. Saying "continue one more step" invites endurance. This does not ignore physical limits. It challenges mental ones. Often the body can do more than language allows. Another key practice is avoiding personal attacks in speech under pressure. Many turn frustration inward. They use words that attack character instead of addressing behavior. This weakens confidence. Replace self-attack with task focus. Say this method did not work instead of I failed. This keeps self-respect intact while allowing correction. Pressure exposes values. What you say when tested reveals what you believe matters. Use this awareness. If you speak dishonestly under stress, correct it quickly. Speak truth. Even when uncomfortable, honesty stabilizes. Deception increases tension. Alignment between values and words strengthens resilience. External pressure from others is also shaped by language. When criticized, many respond defensively. Defensive language escalates conflict. Calm, factual language de-escalates. Saying I hear the issue and will address it removes power struggles. Resilience includes emotional steadiness in interaction. Resilient language is also forward-oriented. It does not dwell on why something is unfair. It focuses on what can be done next. Saying this is unfair adds nothing. Saying next step identifies agency. Agency is the core of resilience. Daily training builds this skill before pressure arrives. Practice speaking calmly in small inconveniences, traffic delays, minor mistakes, interruptions. These are training grounds. If language collapses in small moments, it will collapse in large ones. Discipline is built gradually. Another powerful tool is reframing pressure as signal, not threat. Use language that treats pressure as information. Say this shows where strength is needed. This removes victim mindset. Pressure becomes teacher rather than enemy. Avoid absolute language under stress. Words like ruined, destroyed, impossible, close options. Replace them with conditional language. Say this changes the plan. This keeps flexibility. Flexibility is a form of resilience. Silence is also a weapon during pressure. Not every reaction requires words. Silence prevents regret. Silence allows thinking. Choose it deliberately when emotion spikes. This is strength, not weakness. After pressure passes, review your language. Identify one phrase that weakened you and replace it for next time. This builds awareness. Awareness builds control. Control builds resilience. Over time, you will notice that pressure no longer hijacks you as easily. Your body still feels stress, but your mind stays engaged. This is resilience, not absence of discomfort, but presence of direction. Language chosen during pressure becomes memory. Memory shapes expectation. Expectation shapes future response. By choosing words carefully now, you prepare for future challenges. This is long-term strength. Resilience is built sentence by sentence, not in comfort, but in constraint. Speak as someone who remains present under weight. Reality respects that posture. Chapter 5. Practice daily self-talk that supports growth. Self-talk is the most constant influence in your life. It speaks when no one else is present. It comments on every effort, every mistake, every delay, and every success. You cannot turn it off, but you can train it. Growth depends less on talent and more on the quality of this inner conversation. When self-talk supports growth, effort feels guided. When it undermines growth, effort feels heavy. This chapter is about taking responsibility for that voice and shaping it into a steady ally rather than a hidden obstacle. Most self-talk is not chosen. It is inherited from past experiences, authority figures, and repeated emotional moments. Because it feels familiar, it is often mistaken for truth. Familiarity does not mean accuracy. Many people live under an inner voice that constantly questions their ability, rushes their pace, or criticizes their progress. Over time, this erodes confidence quietly. Growth requires a different tone. Not praise without evidence and not harsh correction, but calm direction. Supportive self-talk is not soft. It is firm and fair. It does not excuse avoidance and it does not exaggerate failure. It keeps attention on what can be done next. This is aligned with Stoic discipline. Focus on what is within control and speak accordingly. When self-talk strays into complaint, it drains energy. When it stays rooted in responsibility, It builds momentum. Begin by noticing the timing of your self-talk. It often appears most strongly at transitions, when waking up, starting work, facing difficulty, or ending the day. These moments shape behavior. If the voice says this will be exhausting, the body resists. If it says begin calmly, the body follows. The words chosen in these moments matter more than those spoken casually. Supportive self-talk uses instructional language. Instead of judging performance, it directs behavior. Saying focus on the next step is more useful than saying you should be better. Judgment freezes action, instruction guides it. The mind responds better to direction than criticism. This is true whether the voice comes from outside or within. One of the most damaging habits is global self-criticism. Statements that attack identity rather than behavior stop growth. Saying you are incapable removes incentive to try. Replace identity attacks with behavior adjustments. Say this approach needs correction. This keeps self-worth intact while allowing improvement. Another important aspect is pace. Many people pressure themselves with urgent language. Words like hurry, rush, and behind create anxiety. Anxiety reduces learning. Supportive self-talk sets a steady pace. It says proceed carefully, continue steadily. This builds endurance. Growth is not a sprint. Language that demands speed often leads to quitting. Notice how you speak to yourself after mistakes. This is where growth is either reinforced or blocked. If the voice turns hostile, learning stops. If it turns curious, learning continues. Ask what caused this and what can change next time. Curiosity is a powerful form of support. It replaces shame with understanding. Supportive self-talk also respects effort. Even when results are delayed, many abandon good habits because results are not immediate. If the voice says this is useless, motivation fades. If it says progress is being built, patience increases. The body continues because the mind believes the work matters. Another area is comparison. Inner speech often measures progress against others. This creates discouragement or arrogance, neither of which support growth. Replace comparison with self-reference. Say better than yesterday or continue improving. Growth is personal. Language should reflect that. Daily practice strengthens this skill. Set intentional phrases that guide behavior during common challenges. For example, during fatigue, say maintain form. During distraction, say return to task. During doubt, say continue anyway. These phrases become anchors. When repeated, they override chaotic inner noise. Supportive self-talk also includes boundaries. Do not allow endless inner debate. Debate drains energy. Make decisions and move. Say decision made, proceed. This closes loops. Open loops create mental fatigue. Closure restores clarity. The tone matters as much as content. A calm, steady tone builds trust. Aggressive inner speech creates resistance. Speak as a firm mentor would. Clear expectations, steady guidance, and patience. This tone encourages consistency. It is important to distinguish support from indulgence. Supportive self-talk does not excuse avoidance. It acknowledges difficulty and still demands effort. Saying rest after completion is support. Saying skip because it is hard is indulgence. Language determines which path you take. Another useful practice is to narrate actions as they happen. This keeps attention present. Saying step by step reduces overwhelm. Presence supports quality. Quality builds confidence. At the end of the day, self-talk shapes memory. How you summarize the day becomes the story your mind keeps. If the summary focuses on failure, confidence erodes. If it acknowledges effort and identifies one improvement, growth continues. Choose the summary intentionally. Supportive self-talk also prepares for tomorrow. End the day with simple direction. Say tomorrow I begin again. This prevents carryover guilt. Guilt wastes energy. Direction restores it. There will be days when the inner voice turns harsh automatically. Do not argue with it emotionally. Correct it calmly. Replace one sentence over time. The habit weakens. Habits change through repetition, not force. This practice does not require isolation or silence. It integrates into daily life. While walking, working, or resting, the voice continues. Guide it gently. Correction without drama is most effective. Growth supported by disciplined self-talk feels sustainable. You do not rely on bursts of motivation. You rely on steady guidance. This steadiness is resilience in motion. As weeks pass, you will notice reduced inner conflict. Decisions feel cleaner. Effort feels purposeful. This is the result of alignment between intention and inner dialogue. The voice inside becomes a quiet guide rather than a loud critic. This does not make life easy. It makes effort possible. With supportive self-talk, growth becomes a daily practice, not a distant goal. Chapter 6. Train attention through disciplined speech habits daily. Attention is the currency of progress. Whatever holds it shapes your skills, your habits, and your future. Most people believe attention is controlled by environment, technology, or mood. In reality, attention is trained primarily through language. What you repeatedly say determines what the mind learns to notice, ignore, or chase. Disciplined speech is disciplined attention. Undisciplined speech fragments it. Every sentence directs awareness somewhere. When speech jumps between complaints, plans memories, and worries, attention scatters. When speech stays narrow and deliberate, attention stabilizes. This is why people feel mentally exhausted without doing much. Their words pull attention in too many directions. Training attention begins with reducing unnecessary language and sharpening what remains. Attention is not trained in silence alone. It is trained in how you speak while acting. Inner speech narrates experience constantly. If that narration is chaotic, attention follows. If it is orderly, attention organizes itself. This is not about suppressing thought. It is about guiding it. Begin by noticing how often speech drifts away from the present task. While working, the mind comments on unrelated concerns, while resting it replays unfinished work. This verbal drift trains distraction. Each time you allow it, attention weakens. Each time you correct it, attention strengthens. Correction does not require force. It requires a simple verbal return. Say back to task. Say focus here. These brief commands re-anchor attention. Over time, they become automatic. The mind learns that wandering is noticed and redirected. This is training. Disciplined speech habits reduce mental noise. Noise comes from excess commentary. The mind does not need constant explanation. Silence between words allows focus to deepen. Speak internally only when direction is needed. This conserves cognitive energy. One effective practice is limiting verbal multitasking. Avoid narrating multiple plans while performing one action. Say, complete this now. This narrows attention. Multitasking language trains divided focus. Divided focus reduces quality. Another area is emotional commentary. When emotion arises, the mind often labels it repeatedly. This keeps attention locked on feeling rather than task. Acknowledge emotion once, then redirect. Say noted, then continue. This prevents emotion from hijacking attention. Attention is also affected by how you speak about urgency. Constant urgent language trains shallow focus. Everything feels immediate, so nothing receives depth. Replace urgency with priority. Say, this matters now. This assigns importance without panic. Training attention requires daily repetition. Choose specific moments to practice. Morning routines are ideal. While brushing teeth or preparing food, speak only about the action. If the mind wanders, bring it back verbally. This conditions presence early in the day. Speech habits also influence how long attention lasts. Saying this is boring shortens focus. Saying continue for 5 more minutes extends it. Time-based language stretches attention gradually. This builds endurance. Another useful habit is naming the object of attention clearly. Instead of vague focus, say, read this paragraph or write this sentence. Specific language gives the mind a clear target. Vague language leaves it searching. Attention weakens when speech feeds distraction. Complaining, narrating hypothetical futures, or replaying past errors all steal focus. These habits feel harmless, but train scattered attention. Disciplined speech cuts them short. The Stoic approach emphasizes directing attention toward what can be acted upon. Language should reflect this. Say, control effort, not outcome. This keeps attention on process. Process focus produces better results. Disciplined speech also improves listening. When you reduce inner commentary, you hear more clearly. This enhances understanding and response quality. Listening is a form of technology amplifies the need for disciplined speech. Notifications and content compete for attention constantly. Internal language determines whether attention is surrendered or protected. Saying, "I will check later" preserves focus. Saying, "just a moment" fractures it. Another practice is limiting future-oriented speech during work. Planning has its place, but excessive planning language distracts from execution. Schedule planning separately. During action, speak only about action. Attention also strengthens when speech supports patience. Saying "this takes time" allows sustained effort. Saying "this should be fast" creates frustration. Frustration pulls attention away from learning. At the end of each task, close it verbally. Say "complete." This signals transition. Without closure, attention remains partially attached. Partial attention accumulates fatigue. Clear endings restore clarity. Daily review helps refine speech habits. Identify moments when attention drifted due to language. Replace one phrase tomorrow. Small changes compound. As disciplined speech habits develop, attention becomes steadier. You notice less mental clutter. Work feels simpler. This is not because tasks change, but because attention stays where it belongs. Attention trained through language becomes reliable. You no longer depend on motivation or environment, you carry focus with you. This is quiet strength. Training attention daily through disciplined speech is not dramatic. It is subtle and consistent. Over time, it reshapes how you experience work, rest, and challenge. Focus deepens. Results improve. This is the reward of restraint and clarity practiced through words. Chapter 7. Choose words before actions to improve decisions. Every action begins as a sentence, even when it feels spontaneous. Before the body moves, the mind speaks. Sometimes the sentence is loud and clear. Sometimes it is brief and unnoticed, but it is always there. Decisions feel rushed only because the words that shape them were never examined. When you learn to choose words before actions, you slow the moment just enough. This pause is where better decisions are born. Many people believe decisions fail because of lack of information or willpower. More often they fail because the internal language guiding them is careless. Saying, "I will just do this" quickly creates shortcuts. Saying "it does not matter" lowers standards. Saying "I have no choice" removes responsibility. These phrases quietly approve actions that later feel regrettable. Improving decisions begins by correcting the language that authorizes them. Words create permission. The moment you give permission through speech, action follows without resistance. If you say "this is acceptable," the mind stops questioning. If you say "this needs thought," the mind slows down. This is why disciplined people appear calm under pressure. They regulate permission carefully. They do not allow rushed language to authorize poor action. Choosing words before actions means deciding how you will describe the situation before responding to it. Description determines response. If you describe a challenge as a threat, you prepare defense. If you describe it as a task, you prepare effort. The event does not change. The words do. The outcome follows. Poor decisions often come from emotional language. Emotion itself is not the enemy. Undisciplined language attached to emotion is saying "I am angry, so I will speak now" leads to damage. Saying "I am angry, so I will pause" protects judgment. One sentence creates conflict. The other creates restraint. To practice this, begin with small choices. Before responding to messages, before making purchases, before changing plans, speak a single clarifying sentence internally. Ask what this action is meant to achieve. This question alone improves decision quality. It forces intention. Intention filters impulse. Another helpful practice is naming consequences verbally. Say, "If I do this, the result will be this." This grounds action in reality. Many poor decisions rely on ignoring outcomes. Language brings outcomes back into view. Seeing them clearly often changes choice. Decisions also improve when language removes false urgency. Urgent words compress time and reduce thinking. Replace urgency with priority. Say this can wait, or this must be addressed now. Clarity replaces pressure. Pressure produces reaction. Clarity produces choice. Social pressure is another area where words decide actions. People often act against their values because of phrases like "it would be awkward to say no." That sentence gives control away. Replace it with "maintaining integrity matters." The action changes immediately. Values are defended through language first. Financial decisions reveal this clearly. Impulsive spending often begins with justification spoken internally. Saying "I deserve this" bypasses evaluation. Saying "is this aligned with my plan" restores discipline. One sentence protects months of effort. Health decisions follow the same pattern. Skipping routines begins with harmless-sounding language. Saying "missing once is fine" weakens consistency. Saying "consistency builds strength" reinforces behavior. The body follows the approved narrative. Choosing words before actions also reduces regret. Regret comes from realizing you acted without alignment. When language is deliberate, alignment improves. Even difficult decisions feel cleaner because they were chosen consciously. Another powerful tool is slowing down language speed. Fast words lead to fast actions. Slower words create space. Speak mentally in full sentences. This forces clarity. Fragments invite impulse. Avoid absolute language when deciding. Words like "always" and "never" trap choices. Replace them with conditional language. This keeps flexibility. Flexible language supports adaptive decisions. When faced with uncertainty, say "I will gather one more piece of information." This simple sentence delays action without avoidance. It respects caution without paralysis. Decision fatigue is often verbal fatigue. Too many internal debates drain energy. Simplify language. Reduce options. Say "choose the simplest effective option." This directs action without overthinking. Choosing words before actions also improves leadership. When guiding others, clear language sets expectations. Ambiguous words create confusion. Confusion leads to poor collective decisions. Precision benefits everyone. After acting, review the language that preceded the decision. Did it support or sabotage you? This reflection sharpens awareness. Awareness improves future choices. Over time, this habit becomes automatic. The pause appears naturally. Words line up. Actions follow smoothly. Decisions feel less stressful because they are guided rather than forced. This practice does not remove difficulty. It removes unnecessary error. Life still demands choices under uncertainty. But with disciplined language, you meet uncertainty with structure. Choosing words before actions is choosing authorship over reaction. It places you back in command. This is how decisions improve steadily, not dramatically, but reliably. Chapter 8. Create clear goals using precise spoken commitments. Goals fail less from lack of desire and more from lack of clarity. Many people carry wishes and call them goals. Wishes feel comforting, but they do not guide behavior. Goals must instruct action. Instruction comes from precise language. When commitments are vague, the mind treats them as optional. When commitments are spoken clearly, the mind prepares to act. This chapter is about turning intention into direction through disciplined speech. A goal begins the moment it is named accurately. Saying "I want to improve" leaves too much space for delay. Saying "I will practice for 30 minutes each morning" creates a path. The difference is not motivation, it is structure. Structure removes negotiation. Negotiation drains energy. Clear language conserves it. Precise spoken commitments work because the mind respects specificity. When you speak in exact terms, the brain organizes time, attention, and effort around those terms. Vague statements produce vague effort. Specific statements produce measurable behavior. This is not theory. It is observable in daily life. Money avoid precision because it creates accountability. Vague goals allow escape without consequence. Precision removes hiding places. This can feel uncomfortable at first. That discomfort is not danger, it is responsibility arriving. Responsibility is the price of progress. Spoken commitments are more powerful than silent ones because they engage awareness fully. When words are spoken aloud or clearly internally, they leave a stronger imprint. They become harder to ignore. This is why casual promises fade while clear declarations linger. Speech solidifies intent. To create clear goals, begin by removing emotional language. Goals are not feelings. They are actions and results. Saying, "I want to feel successful," gives no direction. Saying, "I will complete 3 projects this month," gives direction. Emotion follows execution, not the other way around. Another important step is limiting the number of commitments. Precision works best when focus is narrow. Too many goals spoken at once dilute attention. Choose fewer commitments and speak them clearly. Depth beats breadth when building discipline. Time anchoring strengthens commitment. Saying, "I will start soon," invites delay. Saying, "I begin at 7," removes ambiguity. The mind responds well to fixed points. Fixed points reduce resistance. Resistance often comes from uncertainty, not effort. Avoid conditional language in commitments. Words like "try, hope," or "aim" weaken resolve. Replace them with "will" or "choose." This does not guarantee success, but it guarantees engagement. Engagement is the foundation of progress. Precise commitments also include conditions for completion. Define what done looks like. Without this, goals remain open-ended. Open-ended goals drain energy because the mind never receives closure. Closure reinforces confidence. Confidence fuels future goals. Another effective practice is speaking commitments in the present tense. Say, "I follow this routine," rather than "I will someday." This shifts identity. Identity-driven language increases consistency. Behavior aligns with how you describe yourself. Spoken commitments must also match capacity. Overcommitting weakens trust. When promises are broken repeatedly, the mind stops taking them seriously. Rebuild trust by speaking smaller commitments and honoring them. Reliability builds authority with yourself. Review commitments regularly. Language that once served may need adjustment. Do not cling to outdated goals out of pride. Update words to reflect current priorities. Flexibility preserves momentum. Precise goals also benefit from stating purpose. Briefly name why the commitment matters. Say, "I train daily to maintain health." Purpose sustains effort when motivation dips. Keep it simple. Over-explanation creates pressure. Public commitments add another layer. Speaking goals to others increases accountability. Use this carefully. Only share commitments you intend to honor. Social pressure can strengthen discipline when used wisely. Another useful tool is breaking large goals into spoken steps. Large commitments can feel abstract. Steps feel manageable. Say, "Today I complete this portion." This keeps progress visible. Visibility maintains engagement. Language also shapes patience. Many abandon goals because results are slow. Saying this takes consistent effort, normalizes delay. Normalizing delay prevents discouragement. Discouragement often comes from unrealistic timelines. At the end of each day, reaffirm commitments briefly. Say, "completed" or "continue tomorrow." This keeps goals active without obsession. Obsession creates tension. Steady attention creates progress. Spoken commitments should be calm, not dramatic. Drama creates expectation spikes. Spikes lead to disappointment. Calm language supports endurance. Endurance achieves more than bursts. Another important aspect is aligning goals with values. Commitments that conflict with values create resistance. Speak goals that reflect what you respect. This reduces internal friction. Friction slows action. Avoid comparing your commitments to others. Language shaped by comparison weakens ownership. Speak goals as personal agreements. Personal agreements carry more weight than borrowed standards. When obstacles arise, revisit the commitment language. Do not abandon the goal immediately. Adjust the wording, say "modify approach," not "abandon goal." This preserves continuity. Clear goals spoken precisely act as anchors during uncertainty. When circumstances shift, commitments provide direction. Direction reduces anxiety. Anxiety thrives in ambiguity. Over time, disciplined goal speech changes self-perception. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. This identity reinforces future behavior. Identity built through action is stable. The practice is straightforward. Choose a goal, define it clearly, speak it precisely, act on it consistently, review it honestly, adjust it wisely, repeat. Progress accumulates quietly. Precise spoken commitments turn abstract desire into lived structure. They convert hope into action and intention into result. This is how goals stop being wishes and start becoming realities built through disciplined language. Chapter 9. Discipline emotions by naming experiences honestly daily. Emotions lose control when they remain unnamed. When feelings stay vague, they grow louder. The mind reacts to unclear signals as if danger is present. This is why people feel overwhelmed without knowing why. Discipline does not begin by suppressing emotion. It begins by identifying it accurately. Naming an experience honestly reduces its intensity and restores balance. What is named becomes manageable. What remains unnamed feels infinite. Many people believe emotional discipline means staying calm at all times. That belief creates frustration because calm cannot be forced. Discipline is not absence of emotion. It is clarity within emotion. When you name what you feel without exaggeration, you regain control of response. Control does not remove feeling. It prevents feeling from directing behavior blindly. Emotions are information. They signal needs, boundaries, and reactions to events. Problems arise when the signal is distorted through careless language. Saying "I am furious" when you are actually disappointed escalates the response. Saying "I am anxious" when you are simply alert drains energy. Precise naming keeps the signal clean. The habit of exaggeration is common. People say they are stressed when they are tired. They say they are angry when they are hurt. They say they are hopeless when they are uncertain. These substitutions feel natural, but they amplify suffering. Honest naming lowers volume. Lower volume allows thought. Daily practice begins with slowing the moment emotion appears. Do not rush to expression. Pause briefly and search for the most accurate word. This pause interrupts automatic reaction. Reaction thrives on speed. Discipline thrives on accuracy. When you name an emotion clearly, the body responds differently. Saying "I feel pressure" engages focus. Saying "I feel panic" triggers defense. The words chosen decide physiological response. This is why emotional regulation starts with language rather than technique. Honest naming also prevents emotional accumulation. When feelings are misnamed, they linger unresolved. They return repeatedly. Accurate language allows closure. Saying "I am frustrated because this task is incomplete" identifies cause. Once the task is addressed, the emotion fades. Without clarity, frustration becomes a background state. Avoid moral judgment. When naming emotion, emotions are not good or bad. They are signals. Saying "I should not feel this" adds shame. Shame intensifies emotion. Simply state what is present. Say "irritation is here." This neutral approach keeps self-respect intact. Naming experiences daily builds emotional literacy. Literacy allows navigation. Without it, you are driven by moods without understanding direction. With it, you choose responses consciously. This is stoic strength. Feel fully, but act rationally. Another important aspect is separating emotion from identity. Do not say "I am angry." Say "anger is present." This linguistic distance prevents emotion from defining self. Identity remains stable. Stability supports discipline. Honest naming also improves relationships. Misnamed emotions lead to miscommunication. Saying "I am angry at you" when you are actually overwhelmed creates conflict. Saying "I feel overwhelmed" invites support or space. Precision prevents unnecessary damage. Daily emotional discipline requires regular check-ins. Briefly ask, "What am I experiencing right now?" Answer with 1 or 2 words. Keep it simple. This habit prevents build-up. Build-up leads to outbursts. Do not rush to solve emotions immediately. Naming comes first. Solutions follow naturally. Many attempt to fix feelings without understanding them. This leads to avoidance behaviors. Understanding precedes resolution. Avoid borrowing emotional language from others. Social media and culture provide dramatic labels. Use your own observation. What you feel matters more than how it sounds. Authentic language grounds experience. Another common mistake is minimizing emotion. Saying it is nothing dismisses the signal. Ignored signals return stronger. Respect emotion enough to name it. Respect does not mean obedience. It means attention. Honest naming also reveals patterns. When you notice the same emotion repeatedly, you can identify triggers. Triggers inform adjustment. Adjustment reduces recurrence. This is long-term regulation. Emotional discipline strengthens resilience. When pressure rises, clear naming prevents panic. Saying tension is increasing allows preparation. Saying I am losing control accelerates loss. Words guide outcome. At the end of the day, review emotional moments briefly. What was felt, how it was named, how response followed. This reflection sharpens skill. Skill grows through awareness. Avoid dramatic storytelling about emotions. Long narratives entrench feeling. Short labels release it. Keep language efficient. There will be moments when emotion feels confusing. In those moments, name the confusion. Say uncertainty is present. This prevents layering confusion with frustration. Acceptance of uncertainty stabilizes. Discipline also involves restraint in sharing emotions. Not every feeling needs expression. Naming internally is often enough. External expression should be intentional. This prevents impulsive speech. Over time, this practice changes relationship with emotion. Feelings become signals rather than threats. They inform without overwhelming. You remain steady even when emotions move strongly. Emotional honesty builds self-trust. When you name truthfully, you stop deceiving yourself. Self-trust strengthens confidence. Confidence supports action. This practice does not make life flat. It makes it navigable. Depth remains without chaos. Passion remains without recklessness. Daily emotional discipline through honest naming is quiet work. No one sees it, but its effects shape decisions, relationships, and inner peace. When you name experiences, clearly emotions serve you rather than rule you. This is mastery through awareness and language practiced daily. Chapter 10. Live consistently by speaking values into routines. Consistency is the foundation of mastery. Without it, values remain ideas and routines become hollow motions. Every day offers countless choices, many of them small, that accumulate into the person you become. The challenge is not to live perfectly, but to embed values into ordinary actions so that character is expressed naturally. Words act as bridges between values and action. When spoken deliberately and regularly, they guide routines, shape behavior, and reinforce identity. This chapter is about creating this alignment between what you value and what you do every day. Values are not abstract. They are principles that define acceptable and unacceptable ways to act. Courage, honesty, discipline, and patience are values until they meet the moment. At that intersection, they are either enacted or ignored. The difference comes down to language. When you speak your values into daily routines, you signal to your mind and body what matters. Speech solidifies intention before the action occurs, preventing drift into convenience or impulse. The first step is identifying values clearly. Ambiguous statements like "I should be better" are ineffective. Effective values are precise. Saying "I honor honesty" or "I practice persistence" makes it easier to recognize opportunities to act. Clear naming allows integration into routine. Ambiguous values float, precise values anchor. Next, map routines to values deliberately. Breakfast, commuting, work, rest, and exercise. All these moments contain choices. Decide how each moment can express your values. During exercise, speak "I push" with discipline. During work, say "I contribute" with excellence. During interaction, say "I respond" with respect. Each statement primes behavior. Words become triggers that align action with principle. Daily repetition is critical. Values spoken once are signals, but not habits. When repeated consistently, they condition response. Your mind begins to anticipate actions that match spoken values. This is training, not moralizing. Over time, you move automatically in ways that reinforce identity. Your routines become expressions of self, not obligations. Routine should not be slavish. It should be flexible, yet guided by values. Saying "I will adapt" while honoring integrity allows responsiveness without losing direction. Consistency does not require rigidity. It requires coherence. Language is the tool that maintains this coherence. Without it, flexibility becomes excuse. Another powerful practice is verbal review at transitions. Before starting the day, briefly speak your guiding values aloud or internally. During breaks, reaffirm them. Before sleep, reflect on whether actions aligned with words. This ongoing verbal check strengthens the mind-body link. It maintains attention on what matters, preventing drift into distraction or habit without intention. Resistance is inevitable. Convenience, fatigue, and emotion all challenge consistency. Words serve as scaffolding. Speaking "I act" with patience, despite fatigue, reminds the mind and body of priority. Speech reinforces focus. Without it, impulse dominates, habits drift, even when values are known intellectually. Consistency is amplified when values are tied to identity statements. Saying "I am honest" makes honesty central to self-perception. Saying "I act courageously" embeds courage into daily interpretation of events. Identity is strengthened by language, which in turn stabilizes behavior. Routines then follow naturally. The person acts in line with self-concept, reducing inner conflict. Emotional regulation is enhanced by verbal alignment with values. Stress and irritation often provoke reaction inconsistent with principles. Naming intended behavior prevents reactive collapse. During conflict, saying "I respond calmly" with clarity mitigates aggression. Values guide emotional expression. Speech reminds the mind of standards even under pressure. Another practice is integrating values into decision-making statements. Before choosing a course of action, speak: which option reflects my value of responsibility? Which option reflects patience? This anticipatory verbalization shifts focus from impulse to principle. Decisions become aligned automatically. Routines are strengthened because each choice reinforces previous commitments. Consistency requires managing energy with speech. Do not over-explain or narrate endlessly. Short, precise statements are most effective. Say "I act with discipline now." Say "I show respect here." Efficiency preserves cognitive resources for action. Verbosity dilutes power and can fatigue focus. Integration also benefits from reflection after routines. Ask, did I honor my values? Were words spoken accurately? Did actions follow words? Honest assessment highlights gaps and guides adjustment. Language structures reflection. Without it, insight is incomplete. Self-correction becomes routine, not crisis-driven. Public speech reinforces private consistency. When commitments or values are spoken to others, accountability rises. Speaking "I prioritize honesty in my work" or "I approach challenges with patience" extends internal discipline externally. The mind and body recognize social reinforcement. Integrity becomes more salient because the social environment now aligns with verbal values. Another layer of practice is naming obstacles and reaffirming values simultaneously. When difficulty arises, say "I face this challenge" with courage. This acknowledges reality without surrendering principle. Speech bridges challenge and response. Routines continue to express values rather than dissolve under pressure. Avoid disconnect between words and action. Empty verbalization weakens authority over self. Saying "I act courageously" while avoiding risk erodes trust in self. Discipline. Integrity requires follow-through. Speak values in ways that are actionable and repeatable within existing routines. Words without action lose potency quickly. Values can be layered gradually. Introduce 1 or 2 core statements at a time. Master their integration before adding more complexity overwhelms. Consistency emerges from steady practice, not speed. Daily speech provides repeated exposure. Repetition internalizes principle. Action follows naturally. Routine alignment is not limited to grand tasks. Small actions reveal consistency. Making the bed, preparing a meal, responding to emails, or greeting others, each can reflect values. Say, I approach this task with care. Speech elevates minor behavior into meaningful practice. Over time, small acts compound into coherent identity expression. Language also prevents drift over time. Habits tend to become mechanical. Values can fade. Speaking them daily keeps them alive. Without verbal reinforcement, routines may persist but lose meaning. Meaning drives motivation. Motivation sustains practice. Words maintain connection between principle and execution. Consistency enhances resilience. When stress or change disrupts patterns, spoken values provide orientation. Saying, I remain disciplined, despite disruption restores focus. Routines are not abandoned but adapted. Speech guides adaptation within the framework of principle. At the end of each day, brief verbal reflection strengthens consolidation. Say what was honored, what can improve tomorrow. This primes mind and body for continuation. Sleep reinforces memory. Spoken review solidifies habit. Over weeks, alignment becomes automatic. Routines embody values effortlessly. Living consistently by speaking values into routines transforms life. The mind, body, and environment begin to act as one coherent system. Choices, actions, and responses all echo principle. Speech is the thread that ties intention to execution, belief to behavior, and identity to daily life. Through disciplined language, routines become living expressions of who you are, producing stability, resilience, and enduring growth.